Hey, Glitter Bug. I am Charity, your loving leader at the Insta Happy Rich Life, and I want to talk to you about Plantastic, the Insta Happy Rich Guide for creating your best year yet. Okay, I don't know about you, but I don't think that I belong in a box, right? And I don't think that you belong in a box. I have a feeling if you're drawn to something like this and you're even watching this, that you've never really fit in. Maybe you have, and if you feel like you've always known exactly what to do with your life and you've done exactly what you were supposed to do and things always worked out for you, maybe this isn't for you. But if you've always felt like a misfit and like no matter what you do, like you always kind of stood out from the crowd, then I'm your girl. And I just want to tell you how amazing it is that you are incredibly unique, right? And if you're incredibly unique, wouldn't it stand to reason that perhaps the way that the most other people do things in this world is not exactly the way you should be doing things? I think so. So I want to tell you recently, I had this realization about like a year ago, right? I had a coaching call with one of my students, and she said that like the whole time we were on the phone, she was stressed out and she was like, "Oh, after I get off this call with you, I have to go do this and this and this." And I was like, "Well, why?" She's like, "Because I have to organize my content this way." And I'm like, "Well, why do you have to do it that way?" She's like, "Because somebody told me to and it sounds right." And I'm like, "But you're you're telling me how much you're not looking forward to doing it and how much it's sucking the life out of you." She's like, "Yeah, but it seems logical." And I'm like, "Well, sure, it is logical. I would agree with that. However, if you can't make yourself execute it, what good is it, right?" So that's kind of when I had the turning point to realize, you know what? Maybe it's not just me. Maybe I'm not the only hot mess walking around that still manages to get stuff done and like just do things my own way instead of somebody else's way, right? Now, okay, along with that, like literally my whole life, I have had to find my own way of working and doing things because I never freaking fit in. I was always blamed in school for being too distracting, no matter what I did, no matter what I wore. Like, it didn't work out. And same with my jobs. Um, I tried to do what I was supposed to do, like, I was literally always getting in trouble at every single job I ever had, even though I was trying to do what I was supposed to do. It's not like I was being a disruptor on purpose, but I guess I just am a disruptor, right? Because my brain doesn't function the way other people's does. So if you've ever felt like that, and if you have tried to make yourself do things a certain way that you just aren't wired to do, and it led to like depression, or maybe you just naturally struggle with chronic pain like I do and fibromyalgia, or even if you've got some other like limitation, like something the world would deem a limitation that uh, other people don't understand, as in, you're getting advice from X person to do things X way, but you're like, but I can't because I have this to look out for. And that person's like, whatever, you shouldn't let blah, blah, blah distract you. You still need to do things this way. And you're like, well, if I could do things that way, hello, I would. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of was just like this slap in the face for me. And I was like, you know what? I am not the only person walking around with limitations, right? So I had to find how to do things my way. And I think that the starting point of all of this, of your new freedom life, where you're like, you know what? Screw the system. I'm going to do this, is planning your life out. I can't tell you how many students of mine have gotten into the trap where they couldn't even like finish a course or a program or like move forward at all in their business and life because they just felt so scattered, and because they were overwhelmed and they were trying to implement this and they were trying to implement like all this advice, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, you know what? If I can teach them how to actually run these things without feeling trapped or stifled, that's the greatest gift that I can give them. And so that's kind of what I want to do with you. You're not like the people that don't have outward emotions, I guess, that stifle them, like the people who are just able to focus no matter what's going on. The world could be crashing down, but we're going to get this done today. Like if you don't feel, if you don't have the capacity to do that, then I welcome you into what I do, because despite all the craziness going on in my brain 24/7 and all the distractions that I'm like, whoa. And some days I still can't even manage to center myself, but I still manage to get stuff done. And that's what's so cool. And that's what I want to help you do. Like, understand how that works. You're not like the people who are trying to run a business, but they don't have any children. That's a huge thing, right? I had a child the very first year that I started this business. Like, And it really threw me for a loop. I thought I had everything under control, but then I was like, oh no, I have to relearn a whole nother way of doing things. And so that's the thing. I'm really into, I don't want you to take all your time in the whole world to accomplish your dreams and plans. I believe that you can have everything. I believe you can have your solid plan that includes your children. Like, even if you have 9 children, we can make this happen, right? I don't think anybody should be working their business more than about like 8 hours a week-ish, maybe a little bit more or less, give or take, but it should not be taking up your whole life. I am not about that. I'm about the freedom life, right? And so if you got a bunch of kids, I want to make sure you can spend a bunch of time with them as possible. The business was never supposed to be the end goal. The business is just the means to the end of getting the freedom that you're chasing after, right? Whether the freedom comes in the form of money or time, whatever. Creative endeavors, it's really hard to be active with your kids and really there with them or your family when you don't feel personally fulfilled. And I have a feeling, if you're watching this, that you're probably like me, where you just feel like, I have so much to offer and I've just got to get it out there. Like, I've got to share this stuff with somebody. You know what I mean? And I'm just really into the long game, okay? I'm into like a slow growth trajectory. I've noticed that the people who seem like they have it all together and try to basically shame you, whether it's inadvertently or on purpose, into be doing things their way, I've noticed that they burn out really, really quickly. Like, they'll have this huge fire and they'll get all this stuff done, but then they start sizzling out. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm really into the slow growth trajectory. The way I do things might seem a little bit slow on the uptake, like we're just moving along here and not a whole lot's getting done. But at some point, it kind of like catches fire. And the cool thing is, because you're still going this slow growth trajectory, things are still speeding up and it just grows and grows and grows. So whether you have a business or not really isn't the point of this training. This is something that I want to help you with no matter what you're doing with your life, because I feel like if I can kind of break those mental barriers where you feel like you've got to do things X, Y, and Z way, and instead I teach you how to chart your own course no matter what's going on, and I give you the like mental maps you need in order to do that, then you're going to be able to do whatever you want with your life, right? And let's talk about trauma for a second, right? Trauma is a huge thing that holds you back. I mean, I have tons of it and I've had to overcome it. And literally, it's the only thing that held me back this whole time, I feel, was the trauma and the expectation that I was never good enough, right? So, not to mention, it's not just my personality type, it's all the trauma that people layered on me, like always telling me that I'm not good enough no matter what I try to do. So, if you've got that going on, I'm your girl. Trust me, I understand. So I really want you to understand, while you're reading through this page, that planning out your life is kind of essential to you getting anywhere you want to go, right? I think you would agree with that. I mean, you could kind of go through life haphazardly if you wanted to, but I don't think you're going to get a whole lot done unless you understand what you're even going for and then understand how to get there, right? So even if you have limitations, we can make this happen. And I don't feel like you're going to get where you want to go without breaking those mental barriers and understanding how to get there, right? You can't help anyone else if you can't even help yourself, right? Big believer in that principle. So if you've ever been called a hot mess or a train wreck or any of those other lovely terms of endearment by anybody, and you feel that, like you feel like, oh my gosh, am I ever going to be able to get anything accomplished without things feeling just so freaking hard all the time? This is for you. So I'm going to give you the details of what this whole thing is that I'm even talking to you about. I put together something, and like I said, it's called Plantastic, the Insta Happy Rich Guide for creating your best year yet. And I say best year yet instead of best year ever, because that's depressing. If you want to think about this, your best year ever, what about the rest of your life? I hope everything gets better going on up, like the slow growth trajectory that we talked about, right? So that's the point. So Plantastic is a live training that's coming up. It's going to be a short one, like under 2 hours long. And I'm basically going to give you my entire strategies and systems I've developed for myself in working with my limitations, all my secrets for planning out your year and your life and your day and your week and your month, for making things finally happen for yourself, even while you have all these limitations to look out for. When you scroll down the page, you're going to see a section called the Dirty Details. It's going to give you the date of the training. It's going to show you exactly what's involved in everything. It's not just going to be a live training. I've also got some bonuses for you. So I've got something called Your Dream Life Designed. It's a workbook that's going to actually help you get the juices flowing to figure out what you're even trying to do with your life, right? I'm going to give you the 30-day action plan that I'm developing, and also this thing called 5 Minutes to Success. When you wake up and you're just like, oh my gosh, I don't think I can do this today. Well, this is going to give you a huge luck up there, because let me tell you how many days of those I've had, right? Like, I totally understand. And I'm going to make sure you have plenty of Q&A time with me right after the training's delivered. And we're going to have a separate call a few days later so we can kind of really make sure we've got this honed in for you. And there's a pop-up Facebook group to go along with it so that we can really get you on a trajectory. See, I believe that no matter what you're doing to grow, as long as you're actually committed to growing, that you're going to grow, if that makes sense. Like, if your intention is that I'm going to be better today than I was yesterday, then you're going to be better. Even on a day when you wake up and you hate everything, you don't feel like anything's happening, I guarantee you that your mind is shifting to take you where you want to go. That's why I'm a huge believer in the slow growth trajectory, because I've seen it happen in my own life. If you'd have seen me 7 years ago, oh my gosh, I could not have made a video like this. It would have been, like I said, a hot mess. So, one last thing I want to tell you before I exit this video is there's an early bird pricing down below. If you see the early bird there, you know you're in time to get it. So there's going to be a different, slightly less expensive price for early bird than there is for the actual training. So make sure you get on that. If not, well, that's okay, because it's not a huge discount, but it's definitely an incentive to get you in while you can. Now remember, this is a live training, right? So once the live training is done, then like the experience is going to go away. This is a one-time thing. So make sure if this is something you're interested in, let's do it. I'm excited to have you. And remember, the plan is really just your starting point, right? I'm all about let's make a plan and take some action and course correct along the way of our slow growth trajectory. You don't have to have everything figured out right now. You don't have to know how to predict the future. You just have to be willing to go with the flow and do what you need to do and have a good idea of how you're going to get that accomplished, because I guarantee you will get it accomplished. And also, your plan is not just your plan. Your plan truly changes the world. I believe one person can have more of an impact than you can even imagine, okay? So this is exciting. This is your time. I encourage you to read down the page so you can know exactly what we're going to learn and what we're going to talk about. And I also encourage you to send me some emails if you want to and tell me what you what you feel stuck on, because I would love to tailor the training for your experience as well. I thank you so much for even taking the time to be here. I hope I can lift your spirits today, even just watching this video, and that you decide to join us, because it's so going to be worth your time. All right. Mwah. Sending massive love and hugs, and I appreciate you, Glitterbug. You have an Insta Happy Rich day.